Alright, I just dug up the hole where I had buried the jars of brandy, of apples, to make the brandy with, and I'm going to see them for the first time since I buried them. I forget when exactly I buried them. I think it was in the spring, in the summer last year or the fall. I put these plates on it so that I wouldn't hit it with the shovel. And here they are. There's that one there. It actually looks pretty clear. So, same thing. Apples are floating to the top, and liquid on the bottom. I forget how many jars I put in here, but alright, so here they are. I'll take these in the house and see what they look like, see what they taste like. Apparently now it's just a matter of sifting them and straining them and all that good stuff. Oh, there's one more. So my worries of them breaking from the frost, that didn't, obviously they didn't crack because of the frost or anything, and the lids don't seem to have rusted up too bad or anything. So I'll take them inside, and if I can figure out how to edit the video, I will splice them together and let you know how it turns out. Alright. Alright, so I just took the first cap off of this, and I don't know if you can see it, but as soon as I did, it started fizzing, almost like a carbonated Coke or some kind of soda, or champagne actually. So maybe I made champagne, I'm not sure. It smells good. It smells strong like wine. I'm gonna strain it through this coffee filter thing to get the big chunks out. And do it without a filter first and get the big pieces out. Then I'll keep filtering it a few times with the regular coffee filter. So I still haven't looked to see how many months this has been sitting. I'm going to say it's a good 5 or 6 months at least. This was buried. And you can see it's kind of cloudy, but it's relatively clear. Big pieces in there. So I'll keep on doing this, and then I'll click back when I'm using the coffee filters after a couple of trips through the coffee filters. We'll see if it's any clearer and see what it tastes like. Okay, so it's after they've all been sifted once. I have my chicken delicacy afterwards for see if the chickens can walk a straight line. I'll give them all the byproducts of the byproducts. Remember, this was all the cores and peels of apples that I had already made wine out of. So I got it in this big bowl here, and I'm going to keep on filtering it. I'm going to have it filter over a coffee filter here, and drip back into another mason jar. So this part takes a while. Every time I do this, it'll get more clear. And I haven't tried it yet to see what it tastes like, but it smells pretty good. Kind of surprised at the carbonation in it. I'm sure that'll go away, but you want to get all those floaties out, all those chunks. A little bit of trickle there. I'm sure I'll have to change the filter a few times. So in the meantime, I'm going to go give this to the chickens and let them get their potty in the chicken coop on. And I'll come back after it's filtered a couple of times. Alright, this is the final stage here. The 7 quarts of fruit mix, the apple cores and everything that was buried has yielded just under 1 gallon of really syrupy, alcohol-y substance. It's pretty strong. It's really, really good. It's almost like an apple liqueur. I bet you this would make an unbelievable apple martini. Mix this with the vodka over ice. I bet you it'd blow your mind. There is a final step to actually make this brandy. You would have to distill this. Obviously, it's illegal to distill. You know, there is another way to do it. You could freeze it off. It's not going to be as good, but it'll take a lot of the water out of it, and it'll really concentrate the alcohol. It won't be the same as distilled, but it'll add all that kick to it. I don't know the percentage of alcohol this has. I would say it's on the lines of a really, really strong wine, maybe 12 to 15%. It's really tasty though. So after everything I've spilled and sifted and strained, and the coffee filters took forever. So what I ended up doing was cheesecloth, and then I did one last run with the cheesecloth. I did it about 4 times, and then the 5th time I layered it up I folded it up about 5 or 6 ply to really get a good sift through it. It's really clean. It's really clear. Pour a little bit in here for you. And like I said, it's really, really good. So I just have it in the spring water container. But yeah, it's pretty clear. You can't quite see through it, but you can see the shadow through it. But yep, so that's it. I can't show obviously any distilling or anything due to the legalities. A batch this small, I wouldn't bother with that anyways. It would probably leave you with you know, maybe a quarter to a third of actual brandy. But if you freeze it off a few times, just a little at a time, what I do is I cut this in half, and I would get a freeze on. I wouldn't do a solid freeze on it, and then, you know, after a few hours, whatever froze up, that's the real water, and then I pour it out. I would pour this into another container, leave the ice in the old container, and then I'd do it a couple of times like that. Instead of I've tried doing it overnight, but because it's not a huge content and it's so diluted that if you do it overnight, you end up freezing 99% of it. It will freeze, just like beer will. So if you just do it a little at a time, freeze it for say an hour or so, pour it out, and then freeze it again for an hour or so, pour it out. That's basically a good method to do it. I've done this with other things, not this particular stuff. This is my first batch of this. So I'm really, really happy with it. I just want to thank Ironhead41 again for his initial recipe on it, and if you want to check him out, and I know 99% of the people that subscribe to me already subscribe to him, but if you don't, you know, he's awesome. He does some funny videos and a lot of things like this that, you know, old school stuff that, you know, passed down from his grandparents, and it's just common sense to him that people like me are just starting to try to learn again. So yeah, check him out, Ironhead41, the number 41. And again, if he watches this, I just want to thank him again for his quick response on a couple of questions that I had, and his help. So yeah, so check that out, and I'm gonna start freezing some of this off and kind of condensing it down. So basically, to distill just means separate the alcohol from the water. So basically, you can distill. There's a number of different ways to do it. You don't actually have to have a still to distill, although that is the best method. So yeah, so you know, I'm really happy with this, and thanks everybody for watching. I know it's been a long time since you know, since I buried this, and some people have probably lost interest, but I think it's been like 7 or 8 months. So you know, good things good things come with time, I guess. So again, I'm really happy with this. It's a lot sweeter and more syrupy than the apple wine, and definitely has more alcohol in it. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and I will check back later. Thanks. Bye-bye.